a new era of anti-aging skin therapy, a $28 billion industry. Today, we have from Genie Therapeutics, Dr. Aaron Tabor and Cassandra Todd, regenerative medicine and new skin technology. Stay tuned. Today, we'd like to welcome the sponsors, TRM and DRM, Trainer Revenue Multiplier and Doctor Revenue Multiplier, the premier wealth creation system for fitness coaches, doctors, and healthcare professionals that helps you earn more working less. Check them out at trainerplier.com. We would also like to thank Top Doctor Magazine and Top Doc Clinic in Miami, Florida. I am very excited to be partnering with them to expand the vision, bringing together the world of health, fitness, and anti-aging. Today, we would like to welcome to the show Dr. Aaron Tabor and Cassandra Todd of Genie Therapeutics and Gene Facelift. Dr. Aaron Tabor is the founder, co-inventor, and CEO of Genie Therapeutics. Dr. Tabor is a graduate of the Johns Hopkins School of Medicine. He is a lead inventor of Genie Therapeutics genetic cosmetics, first in the class aesthetic drugs. He has 20 years experience in recombinant DNA technology, research, topical formulation and delivery science, and gene therapy drug development. We would also like to welcome Cassandra Todd, an extraordinary marketer, proven her unparalleled track record of growing, directing, and managing top-tier plastic surgery practices and providers in Southern California. Her decades-long series of successful achievements empowers her with deeply critical, multiple marketplace insights of both provider and patient needs to drive Genie's transformational venture in aesthetic and regenerative medicine. Cassandra's understanding of both consumer and provider needs has solidified her as a trusted visionary in driving sales. Welcome to the show, Dr. Aaron Tabor and Cassandra Todd.
Thank you.
Hi, thank you.
Thank you very much for taking the time here. So exciting to hear what you're working on. And Dr. Tabor, as you and I discussed earlier, what you're doing for the children. God bless you. You're doing amazing things and helping the kids. First, I want to ask you, just talk about Genie Therapeutics maybe, and also if you can segue into what you discovered with the children and how that led you into helping them.
Yeah, thanks so much for you and the team to having us today so we can tell people about this important new medical research we're doing. The Gene Facelift is an effort to create the first truly regenerative anti-aging, age-reversing treatments for the skin. If you think about what's available to patients today and providers, I tend to describe it as dark age medicine. You're injecting toxins, you're injecting foreign objects, or you're inducing wounds. What's really lacking is something that's truly regenerative, where you can take these old, tired cells, give them new DNA instructions, and have them revert to produce this beautifully organized, youthful protein structure in your skin. Through the course of that research, I come across these children with a terrible disease called EB, epidermolysis bullosa, fancy Latin word, your epidermis bulloses or blisters off. These children can have varying forms of the disease and varying severities, but some of them have 80% skin loss. It's like having the worst sunburn of your life that's peeling your skin off. It never goes away. Tremendous pain, or an 80% body burn wound. And so what we're learning in developing the Gene Facelift, we hope it greatly benefits these children.
So I want to just also speak about the amazing Facebook page you created, which ties in with this whole platform of what you're doing, Jesus Daily. Now, I read it 3 times. I thought it said 3.2, and then I had to read it again. Then I told Christian and Linda, I said, I think it's 32 million. Is that true? 32 million
Yeah, that's
followers?
true. That's true. We have a global community of people that come together for prayer. Lots of women contact us that are battling stage 4 breast cancer, people dealing with relationship issues, anxiety, stress, trauma. and we try to pray for them and love on them. And we have people in over 200 countries and territories on Facebook that just come together. And the page primarily benefits the children as well, the charity at nobabyblisters.org, to hopefully educate people about this terrible rare disease. It's been described by the head of dermatology at Stanford as the worst dermatology disease, which is quite a designation because there are a lot of very terrible dermatological diseases.
So you're helping these children with these donations to help heal them, or how does that work?
Yeah, at present, there's no full body cure for the children. So our number one goal is to provide,
Research.
yeah, is research, but also to provide them with life-saving clean bandages, antibiotics to prevent these skin infections
Mm.
from developing into sepsis and life-threatening organ failure. Pain medications are very important. Anti-itch medications, they have tremendous itching, which they scratch and more of their skin falls off, causing more blisters. And then also to provide them with very high quality protein. Protein is essential building block for skin. Without high quality protein in their diet, they're highly disadvantaged. The original child came to us through Jesus Daily, and I was just shocked to learn that there's thousands of these children around the
And where did you
world.
first? Where was this, or what location, or
This is in
geographically?
in 2018, a father from Vietnam messaged the page wanting a prayer for his son that was born without skin from his armpit down to the tip of his toes. And they were in a Vietnamese hospital, but with no money to buy any bandages or any other type of care. So we did a quick fundraiser on Jesus Daily. I was able to PayPal them around $3,200, and they were able to buy bandages and proper antibiotics. And the child is still living today. So we were able to immediately save his life. And from there, it took off. Then everybody around the world, all of these children not being helped by the major global ministries and the major global nonprofits, these kids are off the radar. And so we're glad to help them. My mom calls it God's work. It's
No,
super,
I love you
super
said that,
rewarding.
mentioned that earlier.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
beautiful. So
Um,
again, people, you can check doctors No Baby Blisters. It's a 501(c)(3). The website is nobabyblisters.org, and they accept donations. Correct, Doctor
Yeah,
Tabor?
that's correct, and we use that to provide all of these life-saving supplies. When we say our donors literally save lives, they're literally saving lives because the children have been medically neglected by all of the other charities, and they live in countries, and across 5 continents, and they just do not have any chance at any form of free health care. So without the donors, they would not have these life-saving blood transfusions as well. And so if you want to get involved and save a life today, we'd love to have you be part.
Yeah, no, that's beautiful, and there's no better time for this, and the world needs
Mhm.
exactly what you're doing with that Facebook page with Jesus Daily. That's beautiful. 32 million people. That's encouraging. Actually, it was very encouraging when I read that. So, Cassandra, your role is critical in this whole scheme of things, marketing and
Absolutely.
business. That is a critical role there. So, talk about your role with Dr. Tabor and what you're doing and what your plans are moving forward.
I feel like I have the easiest job, right? All I have to do is tell people that they can age backwards and everyone goes, "Great. Where do I sign up?" So it's not that hard. It's a pleasure to work with this company. It's been a passion of mine. I've known about it for, since its inception. And for me, it's just there is nothing else out there in the world of aesthetics anywhere that's doing what this product will essentially be able to do. And that's our vision for it. And so my job is to really just inform people, let people know about what we're doing, and then also help integrate that into the marketplace. But like I said, this is the easiest job. I don't want to tell Aaron how easy the job is, but it's super easy because everybody wants this. All I have to do is tell people 2 sentences and they're just like, "When can I get it? How quick can I get it?" can I take a bath in it is usually the
I don't want to interrupt you,
I
but
know.
I know probably Linda's going to have the same questions I do, but right now there's confusion out there. And our whole theme behind this whole platform is we love to have people like yourselves that new innovation, everything is changing very rapidly and quickly.
Mhm.
But there's many horror stories out there. People, as you said, you can pitch something, but all of a sudden it doesn't turn out or it turns the completely opposite direction. How do people actually, I guess the word is believe the words that you speak? So when you say they believe, so what is it? One, let's start. How did you get involved with Dr. Aaron? How does that relationship begin?
So we met years ago. As we get older, we'll say very recently, but it's years,
It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, years ago in Los Angeles when he was out on a business trip, and I happened to meet him through mutual friends, and we had similar interests. I've been working in aesthetics and anti-aging and regenerative medicine for many years, and it's a big passion of mine. I feel like the marriage between both the external and the internal. We talk about inside outside beauty now, but that hasn't always been the case. But I do believe when I worked in regenerative medicine, we would work to get to the root cause of something, and we would often heal people or see people recovering or getting better. And then once they did, they wanted to then focus on how they look. They wanted their outsides to really align with their insides. And the converse happened. When I worked in aesthetics, we would, in my opinion, people would come out looking better or improved or different. And they still didn't see themselves as that way because internally they felt still sick or ill or just not their optimal self. So the marriage of both was always where my interests lie. It's always where I felt like the trend of both industries were going. You can see that infusion now in the world. That's really what the emergence of those two industries together is happening more and more. And so Aaron and I, when we met, we had similar interests and passions for those respective industries, amongst other things, but in particular those two. And so shortly thereafter, he invented the Gene Facelift technology and was on the road to getting his patents and doing the development. And I fell in love with it. And I've been following it ever since. I've been engaged with both him and the company ever since. And I have been obviously pushing as quickly as I can because it's selfish in some respects, right? We all want it for ourselves. But I think that, yes, so in aesthetics and regenerative medicine, there's a lot of what I will call hokey things or things that are not, they don't do what they represent. They lead people down a pathway that to me takes a lot of money and then doesn't produce results. So I always look at things that are not just effective, but cost effective as well, right? Because not everybody has access, not everybody has the kind of money that certain people do to get to certain resources. And I think it's important when you're talking in the public that you're cognizant of that. I came from a single mom family. I'm very aware of what it takes to pay for things. And so I think important in the health industry right now, the unfortunate part is we have to be our own health advocates.
100.
We have to really look out for ourselves. And so how do you do that without getting overwhelmed? And I think so many of these shows and podcasts on the follower, I love topics, I love innovation, but I think people lose sight of what does it actually take to get there? I'm not a billionaire who can get on a plane and go to another country, or I'm
Right.
not someone who can fly in physicians and do these things. So I think it's important we have a responsibility when we talk to the public or inform the public what is out there, what's worth it, and also what's worth their time or money. And if you have a simple budget, what can you do? So I love this technology for that reason. I think it gives a lot of access and a lot of results. And I'm super excited about it coming. And I think for how it does it, it's definitely Aaron's bucket. But for me, the what it does and what you're going to feel like afterwards and what it'll accomplish and how it will change both markets, aesthetics and anti-aging, is groundbreaking.
Awesome. Where do I sign up?
It's easy. My job's easy. I don't even have to try.
Linda, you had a question.
I do have a question. I'm curious what the procedure is. If someone like myself came in, what are the steps? What happens?
yeah, it's a great question. Would like to add to what Cassandra said that it soon became very apparent to me that she knew more about the potential treatments and also what was coming in the future than the many top tier plastic surgeons that she was consulting with or directing their clinics. So she's been a real blessing to the company in that aspect. With your question, this is, of course, an experimental product at this stage. We have
Okay.
received NIH funding, which has been a real blessing. We performed a very elegant series of experiments at Johns Hopkins, which is also a partial owner of the company and a co-developer and co-inventor of the technology. And we're engaging with ex-FDA workers to make very calculated, progressive progress, to Rob's point earlier, to make sure that this is done properly. It's what it says it claims to be, and that patients can have a wonderful regenerative experience. We are working currently with a simple gel formula. It's needle free, so it's painless. It was just simply topically applied to the skin. So we envision that it would be a very pleasant spa-like experience for someone to receive the Gene Facelift.
Doc, in comparison with, we talked about it earlier, the microneedling and what else they're doing out there, how does that compare? Obviously, they're prodding with a needle first, and I guess they cover it with what? A collagen, a stem cell, or what is that?
Quite a few things. One's platelet enriched plasma, which is really full of growth factor proteins, cytokines, interleukins, these things that can stimulate the skin. But you have to go through a pretty rough wounding treatment to the skin. And as I spoke earlier about these induced wounds, that in and of itself will cause fibrosis and internal scarring of the skin. So it becomes a process that's not sustainable. What's great about the genetic facelift is that we can deliver potentially those same growth factors, cytokines, and interleukins in the form of DNA instructions to your old and tired cells. Not you personally, Rob.
I booked my flight.
Well, that's right. You're ready to get like, but Zen medicine can teach these old, tired cells how to act like teenagers again and start making lots of collagen and elastin. So you can get a true regeneration without the induced wound, the inflammation, the fibrosis, the pain and agony and of all the current therapy treatments. So that's what we envision. That's what we hope to develop as a startup pharmaceutical company as we go through our regulatory steps.
So the downtime, it sounds, would be very little or not at all then, correct? Because I've never had microneedling, but I have friends that have done it. And I understand that I think you can be red for a little while or puffy, swollen. There's a little bit of downtime before you go out in
So
public.
there's downtime. Yeah.
This sounds like there might not be any of that.
That's correct. We would not expect downtime. Of course, you'd want to do a stay out of the sun more than likely for a few days to a week, even as if typically if you get microdermabrasion, you're advised for any of these treatments to simply stay out of protect your skin, let it heal and calm down. But we really expect this to be a very pleasant experience.
That's great.
Well, I'd like to just add a little bit of information about in aesthetics today. What we do is we create wounds. We basically create micro wounds, whether
Right.
it's through microneedling or lasers or regenerative or ablation or radio frequency. So there's a plethora of devices and treatments out there. The one thing that we can't do is regenerate skin. So what we do is we're hoping to have a reaction that helps the body try to heal, that then creates or stimulates collagen production. But
Mm.
even of itself, all of those treatments are either injuring the skin or we're thinning the skin out by taking layers off. Maybe we're taking a layer off of sun damage or we're taking a layer off to get to that new baby skin. So this isn't, to me, this is a complete disruptor, right? Because it's doing
100%.
something that we can't do right now. There's
Right.
no ability to do it. But yet it stands alone, but then it also works in conjunction. So if you do have to get off some type of sun damage or scarring or something like that, you can use this in conjunction. You can use this on its own. So it's very compatible with what's going on, but it also stands on its own. And it allows people to do in aesthetics what we're unable to do now. And then also conversely, in anti-aging, just in the regenerative medicine market, that is something that's super holistic that aligns with what we're doing internally on that side of medicine as well. So to me, it's the thread line between both communities.
It's really
That's
the
amazing.
dawn of a new age in aesthetic medicine. We envision it as the start of the genetic cosmetics, really the final frontier, because when you can tell your skin cells through DNA delivered instructions what to do, there's
Amazing.
really not
Yeah.
much you can do beyond that. There's a little bit
Right.
of epigenetic control and making sure you don't have these old, tired, senescent cells giving these DNA instructions. This really is the final frontier, and what makes it so exciting that we can create an entire new therapeutic class that will greatly help both patients and providers in terms of advancing the field.
No, this is very exciting. I know Christian has a question.
Dr. Tabor, question. Okay, in regards to the different forms of therapy, like the vampire facials, microneedling, which creates perforations in the skin,
Chuckle.
and it seems like they create the perforations because that allows better absorption. I'm not saying that's the case, but that seems
Right.
to be why they would do it. And I know that the skin in and of itself is porous, right? You put lotion on, it absorbs in, the skin is permeable. So do you feel that things like microneedling are really not necessary? And also, when you put a topical like you guys would do on the skin, do you feel that the skin by itself has enough of an ability to absorb where it doesn't need assistance doing that? Essentially,
Yeah.
some of those other therapies, it's almost they're doing too much. Do you feel that's the case?
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of therapies are overdoing it. As a parent, people are overtoxed, they're over filled, over injected, over lasered. With the gene therapy, we have been able to prove in our early studies that we can deliver the DNA through the skin without manually puncturing the skin or injuring the skin. Whether or not it completely replaces toxins, fillers, lasers, microneedling, that remains to be seen. It may be highly complementary to those current methodologies. It's possible that the gene facelift could also reduce inflammation that's being caused and fibrosis that's being caused by these current technologies. So we have quite a few plans to expand our pipeline to see how we can address some of the problems being caused by the current standard of aesthetic treatments.
And this might be more a question for Cassandra, but do you find people coming in and asking, hey, what are the difference? Someone might say, I've been getting vampire facials for a while and it's painful. I don't like it. Should I come get yours? Or do they say, I don't know. I think it sounds, because a lot of people buy based on emotion, right? It sounds like if there's perforations, it's going to work better. So maybe you guys aren't as good. Do you find people giving you a little pushback or having a lot of questions on, is this really better? Is it not?
Right now, it's not offered in the public yet to answer a problem, and they just want the problem solved. So there's a lot of different approaches to that problem, whether it's lax skin, sun damage, loss of volume, whatever that is. As providers of clinic providers, you have a certain amount of tools at your disposal. You can't afford every tool, but you have a certain amount in your arsenal. And it just depends on the approach of what you're going to take. But essentially, what's limiting is when someone's skin quality, when we're born and we're little babies, you see those big plump cheeks, and that's very taut. And that collagen that's there. So the structure of the skin is there. So often as we age, what we're chasing is deflation and distension and deterioration, right? So we're doing all those things to prop up the volume of the skin to stop wrinkle prevention. So we're paralyzing muscles, or we're trying to take off sun damage. So we're taking off layers of the skin. So clients just want the best result, but what they don't want to do is then produce other problems. So what we can't do is do the regeneration part of this. And so that is the component that's been completely missing. So this would allow somebody to then focus on the regeneration of skin. If your skin is tight and full and plump and the elasticity, the thickness of the skin comes back, your reliance on other things to combat elasticity is going to be different. Your reliance on certain products or your approach will be different, but better yet, the outcomes would be better. So let's just say you're in your 60s or your 70s or your late 50s and you're trying to reverse years of damage. You're gonna have so much of a better outcome and a way to do that you didn't have before. Surgeons can't do anything about skin quality. They can't. They can have the best surgery ever, but that skin quality is still there. So this will allow a lot of different facets of aesthetics come together. The other part is that we haven't even touched on is which I hinted at in regenerative medicine, which is that mental part of somebody's psyche. When they start to feel better or when they feel badly, either one, the way that they feel about themselves greatly impacts their ability to see themselves as a fully functioning human being. By having this such an easy, user-friendly technology, there's no user error. It's pretty much putting it on the skin. It's just a topical application. That's going to actually get it into the marketplace quite quickly. User adoption will be very easy. We don't have to worry about somebody dropping an eyebrow from Botox or over lasering and burning someone. So that's super exciting too. So I think that in both aspects of health, whether it's aesthetics or internal medicine, it's really going to change how we approach treatment.
I'll add, I think a needle-free version of this will expand the market. There's some people that are so afraid of needles that they will actually have dental work done without anesthetics. To me, that's crazy. That's a real big fear of needles. So hopefully we can provide a very pain-free, beautiful solution for those folks.
Cassandra, I wanted to ask you also, now, when this does come to market, will this be something you have to go to your doctor to have administered? Are you going to have it so that estheticians and spas and destination spa places can go and do this?
Essentially, in the United States, it will be considered a drug.
Okay.
And so that will be administered in a medical office. Could be a medical aesthetics establishment, could be a doctor's office, as long as there's the ability to administer that. So that would depend on the facility and how it's structured. But the ability for it to be widely spread, widely adopted, let's say it that way, it would be far easier than even, let's say, a Botox, a filler, or a device or something like that. How to adopt that is very difficult because of users, training users, getting them to be able to administer it in a proper way. I'm sure you guys have all heard horror stories from those types of treatments, and that really comes from untrained users. That's the great thing about this, is the adoption factor.
And also, too, another quick question for either of you. Is this primarily just facial, or can a woman use it on her abdominal area? Can she use it on her thighs, her buttocks? Because as we age, those areas, the skin gets thin and it changes appearance. And
everywhere.
Anything on your booty, or where else can it go?
Everywhere there's skin, right? It's our largest organ on the body. And I mean, this is the biggest joke that's going around in our circle, because anybody that we talk to, they jump to, it goes, how quick can I get it? They just interrupt me, stop talking. How can I get it? And then also, can I take a bath in it? That's what they want to know.
Sit in a bucket of it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome.
But if it's worth doing, it's worth overdoing.
Exactly.
Is there a timeline on when do you have an expectation of a timeline?
We're working with an amazing team, as I mentioned before, of ex-FDA workers that handled aesthetic drug applications. So we hope to advance as quickly as possible. Even this really relevant question about where you can apply it, that's something pending regulatory guidance, regulatory approval that we'll find out. But there's certainly way too much of a focus on only treating the face right now. There's so many other areas of the skin that age. Everybody's pushing to live 120 or 150. And we're the ones that are saying you don't want to look 120 or 150, right? So we're trying to take care of the outer component of living to be 150. We'll see how fast we can progress. Obviously, we have a lot of people that are extremely interested in it, both patients and providers. So we're going to do our best to.
Where are you doing this now?
Here in the United States. Yeah. We have NIH funded research that we performed at Johns Hopkins, and that we've published that research in the Journal of Molecular Therapy. Very compelling in terms of the amount of skin thickness we were able to restore, the amount of skin strength we were able to restore. And in parts of the studies, we were able to increase skin thickness by 300%. That's the equivalent of 50 years of lost collagen being restored. So when we say this is truly a new dawn of aesthetic medicine, it's based upon our existing science that we've been able to, and studies we've been able to conduct to date.
Okay, a very extremely important question is, how can I be part of the study?
That's
So
everyone's extremely important question.
okay, I'm curious because my focus is always to give my clients the best options and information in regards to, hey, even if you've been doing this for years, maybe you don't need to do it anymore. And this might be a little bit controversial, but okay, so there's a lot of people who, when they go into aesthetics, they have chemical peels, they have all these abrasive things that we're going to say, right, that they do to their skin because it's supposed to reveal these new layers, make you young again and feel great. But being a nutritionist, I know also that some people will crash diet because, hey, I'll get results for this week, but then that's going to create problems down the road. Do you feel things like intense abrasions, skin peels, chemical peels? What are your thoughts on these techniques? Do you feel they're useful? Do you feel they're not? Do you feel like these are things that we should be moving away from?
And is there a difference? So when you're doing like a
Correct.
Botox or a filler, because I think that's also a factor. I know that people say that you can go to one doctor, get Botox or fillers or whatever, but they see a different result with another doctor. Is that because they put in different products or brands?
I'll answer the first part of the question. I think these like chemical pills and these very harsh treatments, these can only be done so many times because it's causing the fibrosis and the scarring. Is if you microwaved a piece of protein 7 times, at some point, the skin is so tough and worn down, you do not have a natural, refined anti-aging look with those processes over time. And we hope we can provide much better options for that. You mentioned the crash dieting, which is terrible for collagen. When you go on these super diets, super quick diets, your collagen really degrades, and it takes a long time to try to gain that collagen back. But I'll let Cassandra answer about the different doctors and with different toxins and different fillers.
So that ties into what I earlier brought up, which is user error, right? So there's the tools and then there's the artists. And aesthetics is very much about the artistry. So I believe medicine in its truest form, it should be that, right? And how do you use those tools? How do those tools get used in order to help that particular person sitting in front of you that has totally different anatomy, totally different aging patterns, totally different health needs? It's really important. The great thing about this product is that we take that equation out, because one thing that everyone has in common is your skin ages as you get older. You lose collagen the same way that it ages. That's true for everyone. So the deflation, the dissension, the deterioration of the collagen, that's common to anybody as they age. So this takes out that problem user outcome, and it allows for better outcomes, consistent outcomes. And then you don't have to worry, does someone really know what they're doing with that device? Does somebody really know what they're doing with the fillers and the Botox? And when you see people that have an unnatural look or unlook, or maybe their skin got damaged or hyperpigmented, that's all user error. It may not even have been, they may not have the greatest device. And then also to bring up about the other areas on the body, there's a limited things that we can really do to different parts of the body. And those are truly areas of concern for people as they age. I've seen people's lives change when you are able to show your arms or show your legs, or the way that they just the way they interact in public. It's completely different. Their mindset,
Mental health,
Right.
which is a great need.
And the
Yeah.
confidence.
and their relationships, their confidence, their marriages, their relationships with their businesses, how they go out in the world. You'd be surprised the mental part of aesthetics. It's really amazing to me. So I think that this allows for things that we're not able to do right now that everyone's really needing to have fixed.
And how long will it last? So if you do Botox, maybe it lasts 3 months, 5 months, 6 months. Do you know if someone comes in and does a treatment they're good for a year, they need to come back in 6 months, or they've got to do it 3 or 4 times, or
That's a really great question. We're not that far along in the clinical research pathway. The half-life of collagen, of most collagens in your skin, your facial skin, is 3.5 years. This will likely be titrated down to an optimal level so you can get a very good collagen and elastin regeneration, and likely have administered 3 to 4 times per year, probably the same cadence of your toxins and fillers. So it's a convenience factor.
okay.
So in
Yeah,
closing,
again, all of this is highly speculative. It's really based on what the regulatory agencies and what the regulatory agencies advice that they give us, and what also our preclinical and then clinical trials reveal that will make these adjustments.
So I know Christian has a question, but before that, I just want to know, what would you suggest or recommend? Because everyone looks to look younger. As you said, it affects their mental state
Mhm.
and everything else. But before this comes out, which is hopefully in a couple of weeks, it'll be, what can people do now, or would you suggest to fix their face?
Well, first you have to choose your parents wisely, okay?
Everyone's
So,
responsible.
yeah, the Rob, you have to choose your parents wisely. That's the first thing you can do. That's my joke. I saw some video clip many years ago.
Yeah.
But I think this nutrition component is highly neglected. Okay. We think about this as a holistic view. Cassandra mentioned one, the anxiety, the mental health around aesthetics. Aesthetics are traditionally looked at, oh, that's just like for superficial people. But if you think about it, if you feel better about yourself, you have less anxiety, and therefore there's less stress on your adrenal system, which we now know is tied directly to longevity and to other diseases. So
100%.
we like to say that this is not as an aesthetic drug, it's a healthy anti-aging longevity drug that we're developing. Secondly, on the nutrition component, there's nothing that can really treat the whole body topically that's practical. So you have to look at, what are you eating on the inside out? So there's a lot of great things like green tea, for example, that can protect and nourish your DNA repair mechanism by upregulating this, excuse me, upregulating P53 protein, considered the guardian of the genome. This also can have, what you eat can have a lot of effects on reducing total body inflammation. Reducing inflammation in the skin is always a great idea. So I think in the meantime, with the toxins, the fillers, the lasers, you can really focus on making sure you're getting the proper nutrition, enough calcium. There's a very great study that was done at UCLA. They followed women's facial structure over years, and women that had facial deterioration, the facial bones literally would shrink down. And of course, that has a devastating effect on the appearance of the aging. So this inside out nutrition is something you can certainly do right now. Cassandra may have more to add to that.
Okay, always, right?
I watch you guys on every week.
Yeah.
But I would say, to me, I think people underestimate. And when I see, because of my background, when I see clients, especially coming into aesthetics, they'll be looking at the emergence of what's going on in their skin or the outward appearance. But your skin is the largest organ on your body. I said that before. So that's usually an indicator of what's going on internally. For example, if you have cystic acne, if you have psoriasis, if you have eczema, if you have different spots showing up, I would say address what's going on internally with your health as well. That's where diet comes in, extremely important. Supplementation. You can start to really change the appearance of your skin. Your cells regenerate every 3 years.
Are there supplements,
So-
Cassandra, you suggest or recommend?
Oh, so supplements, I think that's really important for each person, but there's certain things that we know for sure are good for everybody. So there's D, there's C, there's CoQ10. Those are really, to me, those are the necessary components. I'm a big fan of the Bs as well. I think that's really important for skin regeneration. I like it myself. And then also, I would say to you, sun, stay out of the sun.
Yeah.
wear big giant hats. I tell people the sunscreens are not this invisible shield that just protects you from sun damage. You really need to be careful because a lot of the times we're treating someone to help them look better. And at the same time, they're going out in the sun and they're spending money to do one thing. And then they're completely putting more damage on their skin in the other ways. I think there's a lot you can do with just your health, just your own diet, your own
Mhm.
nutrition that really starts to show up in your skin. And also, I'll add one more thing. I have worked in regenerative medicine, and hormones are a huge component of skin health.
Mhm.
So, looking at your hormone levels and deterioration of those hormones, whether you're young or old, I've seen people in their 20s or 30s having hormonal issues, especially in our society today, adrenal failure, thyroid issues. Estrogen for women causes crepey skin. There's a lot of deficiencies in hormonal balance, and I think that is super important when you're talking about the way that you look and you appear on the outside.
So we'll be approaching this as a company from a very holistic nature.
It's awesome.
Uncontrolled blood sugar levels is very damaging to the skin as well. Also, I
Doc,
think
I just want to ask you,
a lot of these quick fixes, the toxins, the fillers, the lasers. I think 10 years from now, 20 years from now, we'll look back and really say, like, those were what were we doing? Why were we doing these things?
just touching on a very important topic that Cassandra, you brought up and we talk about all the time. One thing we come up with, we talk about the holistic functional approach, and then we have the conventional approach. We're a big component and advocate of blood work with their clients, especially getting their blood work done. So they get their blood work done. They both have an understanding of blood work. Their clients come back and they say, the doctor said I'm fine, levels are good, but they're still feeling high anxiety, stress, there's no energy. Combat from a trainer's perspective or advise a client when you may know, would it be get a second opinion, or what doctors would they look for that would agree with understanding that because what may work for someone doesn't necessarily work for another?
So I'll talk to you about my personal viewpoint on that and my experience just with myself and people that I love close to me. Um, You shop for a doctor with your total intelligence about yourself, your life, and what's important to you. They are supposed to be working with you. They're supposed to be an advocate for you. If you don't feel that way, if you don't feel that it's a collaborative effort, your health and your well being, look and find somewhere else. The internet has given us a gift. It gives us a lot of bad things too, but the one gift it's given us is the ability to find resources that aren't close by you. So if you live in a small town, if you live in a market that's not that big, you can actually research and there's people that can connect with you by phone. So all kinds of doctors that are out there. There's what I would call traditional internal medicine doctors that have seen the light, in my opinion, and are getting to the root cause. And they've gone into what I call functional medicine or regenerative medicine has been rebranded. But then there's also naturopathic doctors, there's chiropractors, there's nutritionists, there's all kinds of people that are really focused on. I believe that medicine went into two camps, right? We have managed care, and then we have the advanced or regenerative medicine care where you're trying to get in front or get to the root cause. And there's a whole team of physicians and providers and adjunct therapy providers that are really have this goal, but it's a constant thing that you have to do for yourself. You have to stay on top of your own health and well-being. So there's things that may have worked for you 5 years ago, but they don't work for you anymore. We
Mhm.
age, our physiology changes. So you have to keep trying things and investigating things. And if something doesn't work, either maybe don't give up on it or try to adjust it. Or if you're not feeling that you're getting that collaborative effort with somebody, start reaching out, start talking to other people, get on the phone, do a FaceTime. There's a lot of doctors doing those types of consults now. And they'll do a lot of times a free 15-minute consult. You can look at videos of them talking. You can see what their philosophy is. I look at all of those things. And sometimes their approach to me is, yeah, I've tried that approach. It hasn't worked. I need to find someone with a different approach. Their belief system might have to be different.
Vet
So
the doctor.
yeah, the
Vet the
provider.
doctor. Yeah.
Yeah. Because don't just take somebody's your body. The main thing I can say to people is your body better than anyone else. And if you think there's something not right, whatever that person's telling you, then go find another solution. Do your own research, do your own homework. You have to be the owner of your own
Yeah,
business.
Rob, I'll add my feelings on that as well too. I found that typically at an academic teaching hospital, if you can go to a multidisciplinary team, they really understand what their window of ignorance is, right? And that's really important. If your doctor does not understand that they have a window of ignorance, then they're only going to be treating you and looking at your lab results with what they know. They better be looking outside of that and studying all the time and consulting with the colleagues. And that was the most important thing we were taught at Hopkins during medical school, is understand your window of ignorance, because if you don't understand that, you're going to end up as a practicing physician, you're going to end up killing patients or letting them die unnecessarily.
Yes, it's as I frequently hear, we have to start working on healthcare, not sick care. Prevention. That begins with prevention, identifying the root of the problem. Cassandra said, and that's what we're all about. Christian, you have a question? Or
No, I was going to say that's great, because there's what we know, what we don't know, and what we don't know, we don't know. And I think too many doctors think they have all the answers, or they don't want to say, you know what, I'm really not sure. Let me send you to someone else who might know better. I come across this a lot with HRT with my guys.
Same.
Is that the doctor would say, oh, no, you don't need it. Oh, yeah, it causes cancer. It's like, how far back in the medical books are you? And have you kept yourself on the up and up on new research?
Yeah, and that's what
true.
it comes down to. It's education and raising awareness.
And also, real quick,
here.
Doc, I detect a Southern accent. Where are you from?
You heard of Krispy Kreme donuts or Camel cigarettes? You know that I'm from Winston-Salem, North Carolina.
Southern boy. Okay.
So I just want to say one more thing, Doc, before we close out. But you mentioned earlier, and I know it's a big topic today, unfortunately, is breast cancer. And you have a book, correct? Fight Now? Was that
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. And again, the words that come up and that I just love are prevention. So if you could just touch on that quick, and then we'll close it out. I can't thank you both enough for your time, but I think that's very important that we hear a little bit about that.
Yeah, I've always had a very big interest in the breast cancer with Lily Shockney. She's now retired from Johns Hopkins, but we did a lot of really great work together, looking at foods that may have some early clinical evidence that can reduce risk of cancer or prevent risk of recurring cancer. Of course, nothing beats early screenings and self-exams. Those are absolutely critical. Again, just a holistic way to look at, okay, are you doing everything you possibly can do today, both medically and nutritionally, to try to fight breast cancer?
No, it's awesome. I
Yeah,
cannot
that
thank you
is.
enough. Dr.
It
Aaron
is.
Tabor and Cassandra Todd of Genie Therapeutics and Gene Facelift. You can find them at genietherapeutics.com, their Facebook page, or a Facebook page which is making a tremendous difference. Jesus Daily, 32 million followers. Again, his book, Fight Now. And really important is check out the website, nobabyblisters.org. It's a not-for-profit 501c3. Founder is Dr. Tabor, and it's really impacting the lives of kids. Again, doing amazing things, changing lives physically, mentally, emotionally, socially, and spiritually. God bless you so much. I want to have you on every week. You're awesome. You were
That was
awesome.
great.
Thank you very much, Cassandra. Thank you very much, Doctor.
Thank you.
Thank you for the privilege of having us. Thank you.